Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Larson Dairy Virtual Chat. I am Brittany with the Discover Dairy program, and we are so excited that you are joining us today as we get to meet Farmer Colleen and, of course, your adorable adopted calves, Suni and Simone. First, this live chat is part of the Adopt a Cow program. More than 1.7 million students and 43,000 teachers have joined the fund this year for free, thanks to our generous supporters like Dairy Council of Florida and the Dairy Excellence Foundation. If you'd like to join the fund next year, registration and re-enrollment will start on May 1st. You can go to discoverdairy.com/adopt, and there you can either log in or create a new account and re-enroll. Again, that's about starting May 1st. Next, today's event is live. As you can tell, that chat is open. We can see so many of you joining us today. Thank you so much. We are excited to hear from you. And of course, Farmer Colleen's excited to answer any of your questions and get to experience this time with you today. Before we jump over to Farmer Colleen, let's see who is joining us today. So let's jump over to that chat and start at the very beginning. We've got some folks who joined us from Lake Worth Middle School. So hello, everyone. Thanks for being the first ones to join us today. We're excited to have you. We've got some folks from Orlando. We've got Mrs. Blandford's class and from Frontier Elementary. Hello and good morning, all. We've got Mrs. Bernacki's first grade class from Plato Academy in Clearwater. Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Jumping down a little bit further, we've got some third graders, Miss Reeves' class in Lake Worth, Florida. Hello and welcome. Jumping a little bit further, we've got Rock Solid Christian Academy in Okeechobee, Florida. Hello, you guys are nice and close to Larson Dairy. Thanks so much for joining us today. We've got Miles Elementary School in Tampa. We've got our first grade class from Miss Trousseau's elementary class. So hello and welcome. And let's jump down one or two more here. We've got Cross Point Elementary in Boynton Beach, Florida. Hello, good morning. And Miss Ayers' third grade class in Gainesville. So thank you so much to all of you. I can see many more of you joining and letting us know where you're coming from. We'd love to hear all the excitement. Please continue to use that chat. Go ahead and drop your questions in for Farmer Colleen, for Suni and Simone. They are so excited to hear from you, and we're excited to share our story with you. So speaking of Farmer Colleen, I am pleased to introduce you to her. Hey, Farmer Colleen, how are you doing today?
Hi, guys. I'm so glad to be here with you. Good morning and welcome to Larson Dairy. We are at one of the heifer raising facilities for Larson Dairy right now. And Larson Dairy is located in Okeechobee, Florida. It is a four-generation dairy farm in Florida. If you have a map in your classroom of Florida and you don't know where Okeechobee is, just find the big lake in the south central part of the state, and we are right on top of that lake. So a lot of people come here to go fishing, but we live here because it's a great place to raise and milk dairy cows. So we
That's
have about
awesome.
3,000 dairy cows on the farm where Suni and Simone will live whenever they get a little bit older, and that's where their moms live. We call them dams. The mom of a calf is called her dam, and we have replacement heifers that are raised here and on the farm and on other states across the country. So some of our heifers get on trucks and leave to other parts of the state, so they might even be closer to where you are now. So I'm so excited to
Wow.
have you all here, and we are Suni and Simone are so excited that you guys joined to hear more about what they're doing right now and where they've been this year.
Oh my gosh. Yes, thank you so much, Farmer Colleen. It's so great to see you. And I know everyone has loved following you and your farm and your animals. Your Suni and Simone always look so great. So clearly you're taking great care of them. We are so excited to see them kind of in person for once. So we would love to get an update on how they're doing. So Farmer Colleen, I'll let you take it away.
Okay, so Suni is going to be our spotlight right here. We have them right here up at the feed trough. They're eating some yummy hay right now, and Suni is probably our most relaxed calf of the group. So anytime she has a chance, she's laying down, she's sleeping, she just likes hanging out and resting. Simone is kind of like a bossy older sister. She likes to tell Suni, and she should be right over here because they stick close together. They've spent a lot of time together this year in this pen. It's hard to get them away from their feed. So after they're done with their hay, they'll come out and maybe get a little more in the camera. But right now they just want that food. So they spent a lot of time together at fairs and going to some different events around the state. So they've bonded. But Simone is definitely the bossy older sister, and Suni's just content to hang out, nap, and just do her thing. And that's what cows mostly do. They have a lot of other friends in here, and you can see there's another another four brown Swiss, and then a little Jersey that's in there. You probably can't see because they're small, and then a Holstein that's walking away. So these are called their pen mates, and so they're raised with a relatively small group at the farm. The groups are closer to about 25, but since these are our special cows, they go to fairs, and we like to keep a close eye on them for the adopt a cow program also. So we keep them up here a little closer.
Well, that makes sense. So, hey, they get some extra love from you. So, we're not complaining about that. Cindy and Simone have definitely become our best friends this year. So, we appreciate the extra love. She is. She's even almost giving you a little sass. She's like, "Do I have to move,
Do I
Farmer
have
Colleen?"
to?
Like,
I know she's gonna stay right here next to her feed. That's for sure. We yes, and until it's gone.
oh my goodness. Now, Farmer Colleen, I know back at our 6 month update that everyone would have gotten in March, we had said that Simone and Suni were both right at like 360 to 365 pounds and both about 46 inches. Where do you think they're at now that we're closer to 8 months old?
So it's been about 2 months since then. They definitely
Mhm.
start to grow a lot faster in length and width, and not so much in height. So they're probably only about an inch higher than that, maybe
Okay.
2 inches, about 40. I haven't gotten my
Like,
tape out this morning, but somewhere
yeah.
around 47.5 inches.
Okay.
But they're both probably Simone is about 410 pounds, and
Wow.
Suni's probably right at 400 pounds. So Suni's usually stays a little bit smaller than Simone. So they're growing well. We would expect them to be close to 1,000 pounds by September. So they've got a
Wow.
little more growing to do over the summer, because that's when they'll
Yeah.
be a year old.
Oh my goodness. So they'll grow that much. What is considered a full grown cow? How much will they weigh and how tall will they be about when they're full grown?
It depends on the breed, and also it depends a little bit on Florida. We have animals that don't get quite as big because of our temperature and our climate here.
Mhm.
Bigger animals live farther away from the equator, and we're closer to the equator. So in
Hmm.
Florida, a full-grown brown Swiss cow will probably be around 1,300 pounds.
Okay.
But it depends on the breed. So like this little Jersey over here, when she's full grown, she won't be more than 1,000 pounds. So
Oh,
brown
wow.
Swiss are one of the bigger breeds, along with Holsteins, and Jerseys are on the smaller side. They're the
Okay.
babies of the dairy family.
Aw. I love, so it's neat that they're all living together. So all the different breeds have no problem hanging out together. Do you guys have multiple breeds at the farm too, like at the home farm?
At the home farm, we mostly have Holsteins. About 98% of the cows are Holsteins. The brown Swiss kind of tend to congregate together when they're in a group together, but certainly they all get along. They stand next to each other when they're milked and eating and drinking and laying down. So they certainly, all get along and are fine in a pen together. This
Yeah.
is kind of abnormal here. Usually it's a lot of Holsteins with just one brown Swiss. This is more of the brown Swiss with a couple others.
Oh, interesting. Very cool. So there we had said, between 400 and 410 pounds. So for anyone that's marking their calendars here, so we're 2 months from when we had first gotten that last update. So at 8 months old, they're about 400 to 410 pounds and about 70 or 47.5 inches tall. If you want to mark your growth charts. Farmer Colleen, we can clearly see that they are chowing down on something. Do you mind showing us a little sample of what it is and talk a little bit more about what they're eating?
Yes, and they're almost done, so they might not be there for long. So we bring hay in from other parts of the country because our grass in Florida isn't very high quality. So this is a combination of orchard grass and alfalfa grass that's fed
Hmm.
more up north, that we bring in because it helps them to grow and have a healthy rumen. The rumen is the stomach that makes a cow able to digest things that we can't digest. So it's full of
Hmm.
billions of little microbes that chew up the fiber in here. And that's why cows can eat things that we can't, like grass
Hmm.
and hay and all of those kind of things. The rest of what they're eating, they like a lot better because this is the part of their food, the grain, that there's a little bit left in there that you can see,
Ah,
and it's in pellets, but it's full of things like corn and soybeans that give them energy and protein, so they can grow and
yeah.
turn into dairy cows that hopefully will make milk and live a long, healthy, productive life.
Wow. So you mentioned the rumen, and we actually had Miss Wadsworth who mentioned on here, she said, we just learned that cows have 4 parts of their stomach. Is that true? You mentioned the rumen, but can you confirm that, Farmer Colleen?
That is true. And I'm going to stand right here with Simone and feel, and I wish you guys were here, but you'll just
Mhm.
have to trust me. Right here, my hand is on the
Mhm.
top part of her rumen. So since she's, not full grown, obviously, but any animal, any cow over 4 months old has a rumen that starts functioning, and it is like a giant fermentation vat, and it's made up of liquid on the bottom and then a mat of fiber that the rumen microbes are chewing on, just like termites chew on wood on a house. They chew on the fiber inside, and then when they chew that up, they release what's called volatile fatty acids, and that's what turns into energy for the cow. And that energy is used for her to do her normal things like walk around and walk back and forth to the parlor, but then it's also used for growth and development and reproduction. And then when she becomes a full grown cow, for production, for making milk.
Mhm.
The other
Wow.
stomach compartments have some neat jobs. So, along with the rumen, sometimes they're considered together. It's the smallest part is called the reticulum, and it is in the shape of a honeycomb. And its job is to trap anything that's too big to pass through the rest of the stomach compartments. And so
Hmm.
when it gets stuck in there, it turns into kind of this ball that the cow can regurgitate and chew again. And that's where the cow chewing her cud, that's where it's coming from. Those are the pieces that were too big to pass through. Before what we call their normal stomach, their abomasum, that's the last stomach. But before that, there's another one that's called the omasum, and its nickname is the Butcher's Bible because it has lots of sheets inside of it. And all of those sheets are designed to absorb all the water and suck out all the water from their feed. So it's feed going through the rest of the digestive system, not water. We don't want water going past there and, giving cows a bellyache.
Interesting. Wow. Thank you, Farmer Colleen. That was I absolutely loved learning about that, and I hope you all did too. And thanks for confirming. Yes, they've got 4 compartments, and they all have a very unique job to make sure that Suni and Simone are growing happy and healthy. That's amazing. We can see that you mentioned that they have lots of friends they're hanging out with. Do you notice that they hang out with anyone more in particular? I know you said Suni and Simone together hang out a lot. They didn't know if they had other friends they liked hanging out with, and how do you see cows play?
So this one over here that I'm pointing at, this is Sydney. So we've gotten to tell how they were named a little bit to some of the classes. But Suni, Simone, and Sydney were all named right after the Olympics last year. So those were some of the,
Gotcha.
the female Olympians that did well from the U.S. So
Mhm.
they were kind of a group for a while. A couple of these other ones actually were raised by 4-H and FFA students in other places. So they're kind of like the new kid that comes to school. They haven't quite gotten in the group yet, but they will soon. And then the Jersey and the other brown Swiss right over here, they're a little bit younger, so they're kind of like the kindergartners of the group. And Simone and Suni are like the fifth or sixth graders. So they
Oh.
definitely hang out more by age. When they play, it sometimes looks more like they're fighting. They don't
Mhm.
have hands and they can't talk. So if I wanted, and you guys want to play with each other, you might say, hey, come on, let's go play kickball. Well, they just go over and bump each other with their head. And that's how they decide if they want to go play or not. And sometimes that looks a little bit like they're fighting, but they don't hurt each other. They just use their head. They also lick each other a lot. They kind of groom each other some, and you can see their tails moving. They use their tails to get flies away, but they'll also swat other things like us or each other with their tails also. So
Mhm.
jumping around, bumping into each other over in the very back of the pasture over here, you can see a hay bale. They love to, break up the hay and rub their head on it and kind of scratch on
Mhm.
it. So they just whatever they want to do, but honestly they really love spending time laying down, sleeping, and chewing their cud. And that's what we like to see as farmers, because that means that they're happy, they're comfortable, they're healthy, and they're spending that time growing and resting up for when they get to the farm.
Yeah, absolutely. And we want to make sure they're growing because we want to make sure that one day, you had mentioned it earlier, that eventually they'll be producing milk of their own. Can you talk a little bit more about that? About how old will they be when they can start producing milk and what has to happen before they can produce milk?
So when they are about a little over a year old, that's when they'll get pregnant. And cows are pregnant for about the same amount of time as a person, for about 9 months. And then they'll have their first calf, hopefully around 2 years old. Brown Swiss don't mature quite as fast as some of the other breeds, so they might take a little bit longer to get there. They might be closer to 2.5 years old before
Okay.
they start making milk. And then when they're on the farm, as soon as they have their calf, we do a health check on the calf, do a health check on the cow, make sure everybody's good and healthy, and then we measure that cow's colostrum to make sure we're getting that calf off to the right start. It's really important that just within the first couple hours of birth that we get her everything she needs, because it affects her the rest of her life. And then her mom will go into the milking herd and she'll get milk 3 times a day for about 10 months. During that time, she'll get pregnant again. And before she has her next calf, she'll go on a 2-month vacation, and just kind of hang out in a pasture or a barn if we have space, because cows really do like to be cool and in the shade with the fans and sprinklers when we have space. And then she'll have another calf, and that will start again. So when she's at the farm, she sleeps for about 15 hours a day. She travels back and forth to the milking parlor for about 2 hours a day, and she's actually getting milked for only about 15 to 18 minutes a day. So that's a very short amount of her time. She eats for about 5 hours, 3 to 5 hours a day. It takes a long time for a cow to eat 100 pounds of food, and that's what she eats in a day. And then she drinks for somewhere around 30 minutes to an hour a day. They drink about 30 to 50 gallons of water when they're making milk, because milk is made up of water, and it has a lot of hydration ability for us because it's 87% water. So for her to make all of that milk, she has to, drink a lot of water to do that.
Wow, 100 pounds of food, 30 to 50 gallons of water, and they'll be about two when they first have their first calf and start producing milk. And then, so if we were doing the math right, you had said, 10 months or so. So it's about one calf a year. Is that correct?
That's right. That's the perfect cow. If everything goes well, that's exactly what we want them to do is have one calf per year. Obviously, if they don't, they get a couple, extra opportunities. And most of the cows live on the farm until they're about 7 years old, and for human equivalents, that's about 70 years old. Brown Swiss, just because they grow up a little faster, they're usually on the farm a little longer. They're there until they're probably 8 or 9, which would be like a 80 or 90-year-old for us. So cows grow
Wow.
up a little faster than, or they grow up a little faster, but Brown Swiss are, just a little slower to mature, and they stay on the farm a little longer. This is Dot. She really wishes she would have been an cow this year. She's so friendly. She loves the attention. Some of them, love attention more than others. So
Oh my goodness. So can you just remind us, since they definitely all look alike while we're looking at them all, can you remind us which one's Suni, which one's Simone?
this one's Simone right here. I've been trying to pull them out because I gave them a little more hay and feed than I should have. So this one is Simone. She was up there getting some, some petting earlier. She's got a little hay on her nose. Just lick the hay off. And then Suni went over here, so I would leave her alone. She was trying to eat her hay in peace and quiet. So there's Suni over there. She's got the hay hanging out of her mouth. Um,
Right.
she's got she's got a little it looks like a little decoration. She's got a little silver on her head. I don't know if anybody's asked a question about
Oh,
that, but when they're babies, we remove the horns so they don't hurt
right,
each other and hurt the
right.
people that they work with. But hers started to grow back, so we had to have the vet come out and remove it. She got pain medicine and some medicine on top of it to make sure that it heals well. So
Yeah.
that's what she's got on her head in case anybody asks.
Yeah. Well, and maybe she's just like, I'm just gonna walk over here, Farmer Colleen, because
Uh-huh.
just give me my space for a little bit. Look at them.
Yeah, that
Um,
is for sure.
right. So we've got, my gosh, we've had so many really great questions coming in. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing all of these. We've noticed while we've been looking at all of these beautiful ladies that they've got two bright yellow tags in their ears. Can you talk to us a little bit about why they're important and what they're for?
So I'll use Sydney's, their other friend, as an example, since she's standing here. So the 8 right there at the top is the location of the farm where she was born. The 4 means that she was born in 2024. And then the 843 means that she was the 843rd heifer calf that was born at that location. So that's what that tag means to the dairy. We use that tag to record anything that happens in their life. So we have a computer system. It's called PC Dart, where when she is born, the record starts, and it keeps track of her birth date, who her, mom and dad, again, we call them a dam and a sire, but who they are. And whenever she gets vaccination, so she's on her second round of vaccinations right now. And so we put that information into the computer. The other identification, and we'll have to get one of these girls because the younger ones don't have them yet. So the other identification that you can see, if Ruby can, my helper Ruby can catch it on video here. We'll get Simone out here. Is a little circle, and that one is called an RFID. So that is a radio frequency identification. So some of you might have a pet that has
That
a
little white
micro,
button. Mhm.
yep, the little white circle. Some of you might have a pet that has a microchip in it, and it's very similar to that when it's scanned with a certain type of equipment. We call it a wand. It keeps
Mhm.
track of things. Like where she came from. And so it's really important for those of us that are producing food for many other people, not just our family, that we
Mhm.
keep food security in mind. And so if there was ever any problem, some of you might have heard of bird flu that has been going around this year, but there's lots of other, potential things that could happen that we would want to know where it started, because that would help us then put an end to it. So,
Mhm.
um, so for instance, Simone's maybe going to come back over here to us. Simone has traveled a lot this year, and she's been to a lot of fairs. So if I had a wand right now and I scanned her button, it would tell you that in January she went to the South Florida Fair. And then in March, she went to the Okeechobee Fair. It would also tell you that she went to Miami-Dade just last week. And then she had a trip up to Sumter County in the middle of all of that. So
My
each time they go
goodness.
to a fair or exhibition, we keep track of that because if there was ever a place that disease was spread, we would want to know that. Ruby, maybe you can get close to her mouth there. She was just giving us a good, it's not Tuesday, a tongue out Thursday view there. I was gonna talk about their teeth. So when she stuck her tongue out, you could see, now she doesn't want to cooperate. You could see that she didn't have any teeth on the top. So I always think that's kind of interesting. Cows only have bottom teeth. They don't have top teeth. So when people ask, can they bite me? Not really, because unless you stick your hand way back in her mouth, because that's the only place that she has top and bottom teeth, is way back in there. The bottom teeth couldn't hurt too much on their own. And now she's scooped
Interesting.
the hay off of her nose.
Yep, yep. Oh my gosh, she's just loving up on you. I think she's doing a great job of showing it. We had a question from Miss Cohen. They were wondering, how do you know when a cow is happy? And how do you know maybe when they're sick? And what do you do to take care of them if they're not well?
Well, this is a perfect example. So they're all
Mhm.
together. When a cow doesn't feel good, they get off by themselves. So
Hmm.
actually, this is a good example. So probably later today, I'll check on that Holstein over there because I don't know why she went back there by herself away from everybody else. Like I was just talking about, they did get vaccinated just a couple days ago. And just like with people, sometimes a vaccine will make you, feel not 100% for a couple days. So
Mhm.
I'll do a health check on her when we get done here today because that's the first time I've noticed her off by herself. But this is a perfect example when cows are socializing. That means that they're happy and they feel good. When they are chewing their cud, that means that their belly feels good and that everything is happy, hunky dory. When they lay down, that's another good sign. Hopefully when they lay down today, it's starting to get warm. They'll lay down in the shade over there. If cows are standing up and moving around, a lot of times
Yeah.
that means that they're trying to get rid of flies that are bothering them, or that they're trying to dissipate some heat from being on the ground where it's hot. So those are some
Okay.
signs that we look for. Normal eating and drinking, normal laying, and definitely chewing their cud. That is the gold standard. We want them to be ruminating for 500 to 600 minutes a day, and we can tell they're doing that if they're chewing their cud. They're going to
Interesting.
the
So chewing their
shade.
cud.
It's almost like I'm a mind reader. Look at that. They're headed to the shade.
Their
Other than
bellies
the
are
one over
full.
there checking on the Holstein, wondering what she's going to check on her. They do socialize and kind of check on each other sometimes.
Oh my gosh. Now you mentioned that some of them were at a fair recently. I think they probably did a pretty good job. We're gonna start wrapping up our chat here together. So I didn't know if you wanted to show and highlight how well they did this year.
So this is just a couple, and I have them all around here. We have a lot of ribbons and banners, and we even have some silver cups and plates that I didn't bring out here. Most of those were won by Suni and Simone's mom and some of the other moms of this group. But there were some highlights. Simone did win Junior Brown Swiss champion at a few shows.
Oh,
So that means that she was the best Brown Swiss of the younger ones in all the show. And then Suni was always in the class with Simone. So Suni didn't win quite as many, awards and banners as Simone because she had to compete against Simone. And interestingly, the one that I said she really wanted to be one of the adopted calves, Dot, is the one that beat them in most of the places. And even though she's a little bit smaller, when the judge looks at them, he's looking for some specific things and how they're made and their body parts. And she just has a lot of really nice parts.
That's awesome. Like really correct pieces. And so it sounds like you're prepping them to be, I mean, essentially athletes and they're competing in like this very top of the line experience. And so congrats to Simone. We had some people saying, "Yay, Simone, way to go, Simone," in the chat. So yeah, we're excited for how well they did this year. Farmer Colleen, this has been so much fun chatting with you today. And these girls are definitely finding the shade. They're ready to be done with the heat. But as we wrap up today, I'm curious, what's your why? Why do you do what you do every day? Why have you chosen to be a dairy farmer and made this your day-to-day life?
Sorry, there's a helicopter really close
Ah,
to us, so hopefully it's not too loud. To
don't
me,
be there.
that's a really easy question to answer right here because we're, standing with these lovely ladies that not only bring me just so much joy and satisfaction when they're young, but also the long-term satisfaction that when they mature and if we raise them right, that they will, turn into milk producing animals that feed us a nutritious, delicious source of protein, vitamins, minerals, all of the things that we need to be healthy and, do all of the things that we enjoy doing. So there's a great satisfaction with that. As far as the rest of being a dairy farmer, cows are amazing to me. So we talked a little bit about what they eat. But they eat other things at the farm that are byproducts of other industries. So not only do they, help take care of us by feeding us, they help take care of us by eating byproducts from other industries, which are our leftovers like citrus pulp and cottonseed. And then specifically, these cows, their moms are at a farm where their manure is collected and it's turned into liquid methane that can power our houses and our cars and our vehicles and
Wow.
anything that requires electricity or power. So there's just a huge amount of satisfaction in knowing that I'm helping to take care of the animals that take such good care of me and the rest of us.
Wow, I love that. I really think I mean, who wouldn't want to work in an industry that can not only just have cute cuddly cows, but also just feed the world and provide. I mean, you're providing a ton of different things for your community, and you guys are great stewards of the land, and just uh, I absolutely love what you guys do as a farm and as a family, and stay committed to wanting to encourage the next generation into the industry. And then, of course, reaching out to your community with programs like 4-H and like being part of the Adopt a Cow program. So thank you so much, Farmer Colleen, for everything you do, you and your family, and for sharing Suni and Simone with us this year. We loved following them. Is there anything else you wanted to share with us today before we tune off?
Yes, thank you all so much for the letters and for the people that visited the calves at the farm. I know everyone wasn't able to come see them when we had them at the different fairs around the state, but many of you sent letters and drawings, and we enjoyed so much reading them as a family and as a group of the youth that help with this program. So those are so appreciated, and we really enjoyed it and just loved the things that you guys were, telling us that you were learning about the dairy industry. So thank you to the kids and the teachers and the families that supported this program and joined this program in any way with, just keeping track, sending letters, visiting the fair, and being here today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Farmer Colleen. We loved having you. We hope to have you back in the future. And thank you all for being part of the program this year and caring about agriculture in the classroom and wanting to know where your food comes from. If you ever have any questions, always feel free to ask a farmer. They will know and they will be able to tell you and fill you in on all the good stuff. But now you know a real dairy farmer and you know where milk comes from. So we hope you enjoy all that good dairy, those good dairy products, milk, cheese, yogurt, ice cream, and support your local dairy farmers. But of course, we would love to have you back in the program next year. Until then, we hope you all have a great summer. Thank you all. Have a great one.